This is TV Platinum. Here are the top 5 stories making the headline.
On number 1, the Senate has once again summoned all security chiefs to appear before the chamber next week over the escalating security crisis across the country. Those summoned include the National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu, Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa, Chief of Army Staff General Olufemi Oluyede, Chief of Naval Staff Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, and Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar. Also expected to appear are Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun, Director General of the National Intelligence Agency Mohammed Mohammed, and Director General of the Department of State Services Adeola Ajayi. Speaking during Wednesday's plenary, Senator Akpabio explained that while the security chiefs had been invited earlier, they could not attend due to scheduling conflicts. On number 2, the National Youth Service Corps (NYSC) has attributed the delay in implementing the approved increase in Corps members' monthly allowance to funding constraints. Despite the federal government's approval in July 2024 to raise the stipend from 33,000 naira to 77,000 naira with assurances that payments would commence in February 2025, Corps members are yet to receive the increments, sparking frustrations amid the nation's rising cost of living. Carol Embu, Acting Director of Information and Public Relations at NYSC, addressed the concerns in an interview with Vanguard newspapers on Wednesday. She confirmed that the scheme is actively working on securing necessary cash backings for the increase, but stressed the process requires time and diligence. On number 3, the New Nigeria People's Party (NNPP) has strongly condemned former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai for alleging that the party received federal government's backing in the expulsion of its former presidential candidate Rabiu Kwankwaso and the suspension of Kano State Governor Abba Yusuf. In a statement issued on Wednesday, NNPC National Secretary Ogini Olaposi dismissed El-Rufai's claims as baseless and a desperate attempt to divert attention from the real issues within the party. El-Rufai, who recently defected from the All Progressives Congress to the Social Democratic Party, had accused the federal government of fueling internal crisis within opposition parties, pointing specifically to NNPP's actions against Kwankwaso and Yusuf as part of a larger political scheme. The NNPP has demanded that El-Rufai retract his statement and issue a public apology within 48 hours. On number 4, Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara was on Wednesday prevented from accessing the official quarters of the State House of Assembly along Aba Road, Port Harcourt, where lawmakers loyal to his predecessor Nyesom Wike have been holding legislative sessions. Fubara, who arrived at the complex in the company of top government officials, including Secretary to the State Government, Dr. Talmid Agogo, and Chief of Staff Edison Ehie, met a locked gate and effectively barring his entry. Speaking to journalists at the scene, the governor accused Speaker Martin Amawele of deliberately avoiding him, stating the multiple calls placed to the lawmaker were unanswered. Fubara said, "Before my arrival, I made several attempts to speak to the speaker. I also sent a letter regarding this particular invitation." End of quote. And lastly, the Interparliamentary Union President Tulia Aksin has assured embattled Kogi Central lawmaker Senator Natasha Kuti-Duagan that due process will be followed in reviewing a suspension from the Senate. Aksin's statement was in response to an appeal by Kuti-Duagan, who had called on the IPU and the United Nations to intervene in what she described as an unjust suspension by the Nigerian Senate. Speaking at the Women in Parliament session during the IPU meeting on Tuesday, the senator alleged that her suspension was politically motivated and intended to silence her. Akoti-Duagan further claimed that the disciplinary actions stemmed from a petition she submitted against Senate President Godswill Akpabio, accusing him of sexual harassment. She said in quote, "I believe that submitting the petition would lead to a fair and transparent investigation, but instead I was silenced and suspended." End of quote. She also decried the sanctions imposed on her, which included the withdrawal of security, seizure of official vehicles, stoppage of salary, and restrictions barring her from the National Assembly premises. The IPU has pledged to ensure that the case is handled with fairness and transparency.
Those are the top stories. Do subscribe and follow us across all our platforms to get more of this update.